Hey everybody, welcome to Goose's Wrestling Pod. It's no longer Disney Pod. If you were tuning in thinking like, "Oh, I'm gonna hear some Disney talk." No, that's over with. Everyone's a piece of shit. So instead we're gonna
Except
do
for
wrestling.
except
What?
for Walt Disney.
Except for Andrew Lee. If you listen to the wrestling podcast in the past that we did on the Goots cast. We haven't done it in about a year. What we used to do is we would cover shows as they happen, and we went ballistic. I mean, we really should have gotten billions of listeners. We would do Impact after it aired. We would do NWA. We did every show. Every show had an after show. AEW, and
We did Carneyland.
we did Carneyland. We did them all. But we stopped about a year ago, and the Disney podcast. I mean, if you were a loyal listener, that's great. It just wasn't getting the hits and the views, and we're like, fuck it, let's go back. Let's cover old wrestling. We're gonna start this week with Starrcade '83. We're gonna do all the pay-per-views in chronological order from the first one, which is Starrcade '83, even though it was closed circuit. But before we get into Starrcade '83, just so everyone knows, we're recording this Wednesday night before Dynamite. So if Sasha Banks comes out and blows CM Punk on Dynamite, we're not gonna know, but we're not gonna hear about it here. So sorry about that. But
Mm,
we did see
right.
Sasha Banks come back as Monet Mercer. What's her new name?
Um, I don't know. Mercedes Monet.
Mercedes.
Uh, I think that's
And
what it is.
I thought it was dreadful. Um, her song was so bad. So her song is like some weird beat, and her just going over and over again, Monet,
You
Monet.
know what it was? It sounded like Crisscross's Jump, right? It
Oh,
has
and
that.
Monet.
Yeah, but she keeps saying Monet like in between intervals, and it sounds like a ripoff of Crisscross's Jump. It sounds like a theme you would hear on Impact Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Like because if you listen to it's a lot of it's like really cheesy ripoffs of other like actual music. So I kind of liked it in the cheesy aspect point. Like
I mean, but
wrestling's
it's not supposed to
cheesy.
be cheesy. She's supposed to be
It's not
cool.
supposed to be cheesy. No, it's not supposed to be. But I like it because I think it's cheesy. It sounds really cheesy, which I like.
It is
I
really
like
cheesy.
her hair. Her hair looks cool.
I don't know about
But
that.
the spots, you didn't like that?
My thing with someone with her is like I think her and WWE worked really well together.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think here's the problem with her. I was thinking about this, and everyone talks about WrestleMania 37. Was it? Yeah, it was 37 where she main evented with Bianca. What did she do after that? She had like 9 breaks, and then she just walked out. But she didn't have any good matches or anything.
I love that dog.
I
What's the
know.
name of that one again?
This is
Matilda?
Matilda. This is
Oh, I love
Matilda.
Matilda. Let me see Matilda's face. I love her face.
Yeah. What
Oh,
a
look at that. Look at that gremlin.
what a
It
wrestling
looks like
podcast.
it looks like Gizmo. Matilda looks like Gizmo from a
She
little
is
bit,
kind of
right?
like Gizmo. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks a little bit like Gizmo with the ears and the half white, half brown.
Hmm.
Um, you know what? Yeah, like we'll see. Time will tell. We had a discussion about this a couple of days ago. I was saying like I don't know how she's getting to appear in American wrestling companies because of the whole contract
Well, I
situation.
think she's out of the contract. I mean, let's
Yeah,
be
I
honest.
think you're right because of that stupid tweet she sent thanking everybody. I
She
feel
thanked
like
every. Yeah, she said a bunch of them. She thanked Triple H. She thanked William Regal. She thanked WWE. She thanked the. I think she thanked someone else too.
she thanks Sasha Banks. And
Oh, she thanked herself.
yeah, she thanked herself, which is, the ultimate sign
But
of
my thing is
humbleness.
like, Dax Harwood today said she wants to be like Rock and Austin, and I'm like, well, she's definitely like Austin because she keeps walking out. But I don't see how. I just she whenever things don't go her way, she just takes off. I can just see like if she does show up at AEW next week. First of all, they're not gonna. If she thinks her booking's gonna be better from WWE, because I know it was mainly booking issues she had. Both
Yeah.
times she like had a temper tantrum.
Mhm.
Um, she's not gonna get better booking. In fact, she's gonna get way worse. I hope she likes jobbing to Britt Baker in September, because that's what's gonna fucking happen.
I mean, you can't have her come in and beat Britt Baker, I would think,
We
right?
got. I mean,
because you can't keep having these outside talent come in and beat the homegrown stars. You know, you just can't keep doing that.
Well,
You could do a few.
she's not going to be happy losing to. No, well, I'll say this: if you booked Britt Baker matches better, she could lose to Britt Baker. But the way Britt Baker's matches goes is she cheats and cheats and cheats and cheats and cheats and cheats, doesn't get caught, and then beats them fairly. Doesn't has to cheat to win. So she just makes her opponent look like a fucking idiot. And then she just, well, I could have beat her anyway fairly, but I just like cheating because I'm so much smarter than this other chick. So if that's the way they do it, if they do it differently, then yeah, Sasha Banks loses to Britt Baker. But literally all of Britt Baker's matches are the same. And I mean, look at Ruby
Uh,
Riott after she lost to Britt a few times. She's like on Dark now.
well, she's teaming with Willow. Yeah,
No,
to
that's great.
elevate Willow now. Yeah,
Good for her. That'll work out for both of them. I'm sure.
yeah.
I'm sure they won't. A year from now, they'll still be on Dark, bro. I hate,
Yeah, you know what, man? I wish I was on Dark. I want to wrestle QT Marshall. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I want I want to wrestle Hook, dude.
So
You
that's
see
enough
Dark
for.
where they fucking injured people, man.
Oh, House of Black, right? They injured some guys.
Yeah. I haven't watched Dark in a long time. I stopped watching those shows, Dark and Dark Elevation. I only every once in a while just check in to watch like one match and then I head on out because it's just squash matches. Why would I want to fucking watch that? You know what it reminds me of? Sunday Night Heat.
Yeah.
Sunday Night Heat used to be an actual show. Do you remember this?
Yes.
Like where they would do storylines.
By the
They
way,
do recaps, but they would do
when we get to
storylines.
1998, we're
Yeah.
gonna watch the Sunday Night Heats, the year where they were actually like the first hour of the pay per view. We're gonna watch
Yeah.
those.
Okay.
I mean, that's gonna be a long time from now, but just be ready.
Yeah, but Sunday Night Heat used to be an actual show, and then they turned it into just like we'll just throw in some random matches, like jobber matches and whatever. They
Every
just gave
show
up
that's not
on
Raw
it.
or SmackDown, they eventually turn into like that. Even
Yeah,
SmackDown for a while in 2012 to 2016 basically became a bunch of like nothing matches.
205. Yeah, they just do that. Yeah, they just give up on things. You know,
They
that's
just
just
give up on
whatever.
the dude. When that's
Just
why
give up.
that you need the brand split because they really just give up on SmackDown when there's no brand split.
Yeah.
Although
They just,
now I think they would give up on Raw if there was no brand split because
um.
Fox would be
Yeah,
livid.
I don't know. Raw's still doing good. I like this whole Dominic thing
No,
they're
I'm saying
doing.
if there was no brand split, they would put the focus mainly on SmackDown because Fox is giving them like $1 billion, and they would make Raw like
Oh
a
yeah,
fucking.
absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So
Let's get
we're
into
here to
it.
talk, and I know if you saw the thumbnail, and you're like, "Oh, Starrcade '83, old school." We're here to talk old school wrestling. I had never seen this show. How about you?
You know, no, I've never seen this full pay per view, but as I watched it, I realized I had actually watched two of these matches
Roddy
because of
Piper?
the Roddy Piper one, the Flair one, because of the DVD box sets
Yes.
they did early 2000s. And I was like, oh yeah, I seen these matches, but that was it. Those were the only two matches I had.
So let me just tell you, like, when I got into wrestling as a kid, they had picture. I got the first Pro Wrestling Illustrated I got was the 15th anniversary issue. It was
Uh-huh.
from '89. And they had pictures from Starrcade '83 that made it look so fucking awesome. And there's all these little things add up to why Vince won. I actually when I was like, so how old was I in '89? 8. I actually wanted to rent Starrcade '83, and it was never on VHS. They never had the full event on VHS. And looking back, I would say to these guys, why didn't you put this on VHS? The whole what could you possibly lose putting this on VHS besides making money and making fans?
Um, was this after they sold to WCW or before?
Well, before they put some that when it was Crockett, they did put Starrcade '87 on VHS, which I rented. They put a couple of other events, and in the early '90s, they did put events on VHS, and I rented them, but they didn't put all the events. But some of these early ones, when I was like, just because Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and we're gonna get into how I feel about Ric Flair, but they just go on how fucking great Ric Flair is. But there was no proof. I had no way to like find out, like to watch these old matches. And meanwhile, WWE, they gave you plenty of proof with all the VHS tapes of Bruno, Hogan, fucking I don't know, Iron Sheik and all these guys. You can see footage upon footage of it. And like it's just like, why would you not put as much shit out on VHS like Vince did? Like it made no sense to me.
Well, I mean, that's probably part of the reasons why they eventually had to sell to WCW.
Exactly.
Didn't
And that's why
they made
eventually,
didn't the Crockett's make like a whole bunch of bad decisions?
yeah, this was and that was
That
one of them,
that
not
would be
putting,
one of them, right? Not
yeah.
putting things on
Because
VHS, you
you
know.
got it, because that's the thing. WWE got all of us young. And I think WCW, that was
That's
a
what you
big
got to do.
mistake. What?
That's what you got to do. You got to get them when they're young, you
You
know.
got it. Yeah. If I walked into a VHS store in '89 and you had Starrcade 83, 84, 85, 86 on that fucking shelf, I
Mhm.
think the first thing put on VHS was 86. I don't think the first three were on VHS. But if you had them on those shelves, I probably would have rented Starrcade 83 and you might have got me, but you didn't get me. And now you're out of business. And I'm wearing a fucking Mega Power shirt.
That's why I think Nintendo will be around for a while. They just
Yeah, they
market to
got you.
kids.
They get everyone when they're young.
Yeah, and then later on, you just have like nostalgia, you know. So you stay loyal to it as a kid, you know, even as an adult. That's what yeah, and that's what WBE does, which is, if you think about it, pretty much smart business.
So I
But
listened to a little bit of Meltzer on Starrcade 3, not the whole. I probably should listen to the whole half hour discussion.
okay.
The Laps fan interviewed him, and the reason why they started Starrcade 83 was that year they said it was going to be Sergeant Slaughter and Don Kernoodle versus Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood. And if they break up, I mean, if they lose, they'll break up. And usually they would just have the match around the loop, right? And
Hmm.
have the same match. But they decided to be like, all right, this match is only going to happen in Greensboro. And they were shocked with how many people showed up, how many people traveled to see that one match. Like,
Oh my god, dude! We're gonna go over to traveling. These people are crazy. Wrestling fans back then were fucking crazy.
I mean, people still travel. I mean, I'm going to fucking Los Angeles for WrestleMania, and Johnny went to
I
Washington.
mean, you're not just going there for wrestling.
Yeah, that's true. I have
Well, I
other
guess
goals, but
you know what?
there
Never
are
mind.
some people that travel. Like Johnny traveled to Washington D.C. for the first Dynamite. So
Holy shit, he did.
yeah, that's a 4
That's like
hour
a four
drive. It's not
hour.
that
That's like
bad.
a 4 hour drive.
I know that's really not that bad though. I mean, like if you're gonna drive, that's like
No,
the drive from L.A. to
wait,
Vegas.
he, you're driving 4 hours to go watch a wrestling show,
Yeah, he drove.
but there was no, and this is the first one, right?
Yeah, it was history in the
So
making, man.
it could have been bad too. Imagine driving 4 hours and
I mean, I
imagine
thought it sucked the first Dynamite. So
I I don't, man, I don't remember. No, I think, wasn't it good? Wasn't it like the one where Private Party won, like an upset victory against
yeah,
Young?
but it that's where all the problems started. Where because they didn't tell you who anyone was, they just assumed that you sat on the internet jerking off all day, starting from the
Well,
first
that
episode.
they're not wrong.
Well, I mean,
They're
well,
not
they think
wrong
you're
about
jerking
that.
off to like GCW matches or something, but
Oh, you're not
fucking,
wrong about that either.
but they, but then, but then for whatever weird reason, Harley Race got the belt back, and then they were like, all right, we did this once, let's try this again. Thanksgiving's our biggest night. Maybe we can also do closed circuits around the country, and where let's build Ric Flair.
Let,
They were gonna give Ric Flair the belt back, but they were like, let's build an event around it and let's see what business we can do. So this was kind of like a happy accident. It wasn't like Vince with his grand plan. And I believe Vince had WrestleMania in his head even before this event, and I think this event is very important because it shows you what wrestling would have been like if Vince didn't take control. It turns out not very good, not well done. That's what it would have been like.
so closed circuit is like
It's like
when
when I go
you.
to the movie theater to watch Dynamite. I mean, to watch the AEW pay per views. Imagine
Mhm.
that was the only way you can watch an AEW pay per view. You have to go to a movie theater.
Yeah, there's no pay per view per
Yeah, you
se.
can't watch it at home. You have to go somewhere to see it.
But wasn't this a pay per view?
No, the first true pay per view was even WrestleMania one's not a pay per view. The first true pay per view is the Wrestling Classic in '85, but I count this as a pay per view. If it's a big wrestling event, you have to pay to see it on a TV. I count it because you're still
Ah,
paying
I
to
see.
view it.
So Starcade 83. See, okay, that's where I was. I'm sorry, my confused. I actually thought Starcade 83 was a pay per view, but it's not. It was like
No,
there's only like three ways to go see it. It's like one, you either at the fucking venue,
or you
or
go to
you're
a
at the
movie
two
theater.
locations that they're fucking close circuiting this or whatever, right?
Yeah, I think there were some because they said New York and I know Puerto Rico.
Oh, okay, a few of the locations, right?
They announced,
And where would they show it? Like at a movie theater?
I think some arenas, some movie theaters. Yeah,
Oh, okay, all
I
right.
think more arenas. I think when they did closed circuit, it was more arena. I know, like, you could go watch. I think like WrestleMania 3 because they still did closed circuit for the early WrestleManias at the theater. You know, Madison Square Garden is that theater downstairs.
But the
You could
Hulu
watch.
theater?
It's like the smaller like venue. It's like remember that they
I
have a
think
smaller
so.
room. You could
Hmm.
watch WrestleMania 3 in that. Remember in SummerSlam '98 they had Ken Shamrock fight Owen Hart in it in the little arena. Remember that?
Um, no,
No,
I
you'll
believe
see it. You'll
it.
see it.
You'll see it. I'm gonna
You'll
see it
see it when we get
eventually.
there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
actually NXT had a show at that theater. If you I went with Ringside John. Um, so yeah, so the first pay per view they have is the one where you can order at home. Is Starrcade '87, and everything else was closed circuit. So the first four Starrcades are closed circuit, right? So they
Mm.
finally get pay per view clearance is for Starrcade '87, and that's why Vince created the Survivor Series. And Vince said to them, "Hey, if you carry Starrcade '87 and not the Survivor Series, we won't let you have WrestleMania 4."
Yeah, I remember this. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
and they lost a ton of money on Starrcade '87. That was kind of the beginning of the end. And I did rent. I have seen Starrcade '87 when I was younger, when I was like 8 or 9. That one you could rent, and I actually like that one better than Survivor Series '87.
it almost looks like that dog is dead.
This one,
Yeah. Is it?
Jasmine, she's just very comfortable.
Oh, yeah. She's very comfortable. All right, that's great.
But
All right.
yeah. So this is it.
She
What
looks like she
overall
saw
before we get match
Starcade
by match?
83.
What?
She looks like she just watched Starcade 83.
Oh, before we get into the show, Matt, into the like match by match breakdown. What do you think overall of this show? And I'll give my
I do not remember. Like, so this is my first time watching this, and it's
23.
2023.
It's the
Really?
40-year
That's a long
anniversary
time.
this Thanksgiving.
Oh wow! And let me tell you something. It does not age well. You know,
No,
some things you can watch and it's timeless. This was not one of them. This
you know,
was so many things about it that was confusing, didn't make any sense, or just seemed silly or super outdated. No, not for me. I would say it's not. I'm still glad I watched it, but it's not
I'll
for me.
say this. I think it's important to watch from a historical perspective to really
Yeah,
understand
very good point.
where wrestling was before Vince. But the main thing that really like fuck it, and because I read books about AIDS, and AIDS was already pretty running wild even back here in '83. The fucking blood and the blood on the mat. They don't clean the mat,
Uh,
and Carlos Colon lit like biting into Abdullah's blood. And dude, I'm convinced more wrestlers have AIDS than we know.
it's like watching those really really old racist cartoons. It's like it's not fun watching it, but you're watching it for historical purposes.
Well, like Ric Flair
It's
goes on about blading. I totally get why Vince said no blading. That looks so fucking awful, dude. It just
oh, it did,
looks
it did look awful,
it
especially
looks
since
so
so
like these
many.
guys definitely have
Uh,
diseases that they haven't told us.
yeah,
Whoever wrestled on this
hepatitis.
show.
Yeah, hepatitis all over the place. But dude, this show it starts so fucking weird. There's no intro.
Well,
I
see,
yeah,
there might a lot of the weird cuts. I'm gonna say did WWE because this wasn't put on VHS. Did WWE get a weird copy? Did they edit out some stuff that might have had an intro when it was shown? We don't know.
maybe, but what
I can
happens
also see them
right
being
after
so
the
stupid to just start it with a fucking match because they were fucking idiots.
because right after what happens after the first match leads me to believe that this is how they started.
Okay,
Okay, because
they're that
so
yeah,
so if you
dude.
guys are
When you
wondering, yeah,
hold on before you talk, I just want to say when you watch this, do you understand now why Vince destroyed all these people?
yeah, absolutely.
You
I
know,
was like, dude, I was like, you guys need to. The industry has passed a lot of you by. Let's just say it like that. The industry has
already in
passed a lot of you
'83.
by.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of you guys need to go. And if you watch a normal show, there's a whole intro. There's a whole like even when you watch a TV show, there's a whole intro. There was no intro. We go straight into the match. There's no entrances, nothing. There's straight into the match. The coldest open you will ever find. And the first match is the Assassins 1 and 2 with Paul Jones, who's dressed like he's about to go to the prom, versus Rufus R. Jones, the Freight Train, and Bugsy McGraw. Now, I had heard of Rufus R. Jones and the Assassins. I've heard of them. I never really saw. This is my first time actually watching it. And let me tell you something. When I was watching this first match, I was like, I owe Eddie Kingston an apology. Because you know what? We can't say that Eddie Kingston's a throwback, right? He's a throwback. He is.
I want to throw him back, actually.
He is like he's a throwback to 1983 because he would fit right in with this first. Dude, there were so many people out of shape, and especially in this first match, I was like, dude, I owe Eddie Kingston an apology for this was a.
Well, that's the thing. Like, dude, nobody had the bodies until Vince emphasized the bodies.
Yeah.
Like, there's half these guys. Well, first of all, Gerald Briscoe never wrestled when he went to WWE. He just was a bitch. But fucking half of they look like guys who work at a factory who just decided to walk around in their underwear. Like, they did not lift weights. They did not do anything.
They look like the helicopter old man, in the beach bomb, that meme video. Mm-hmm. It's just like you got the big beer guts, you got the skinny arms, right? It's just like that old man, beer gut body.
The other thing I want to say, watching this show and knowing who Vince grabs and tries to turn into a star, it makes sense why those are the guys he grabbed if they're watching.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I used to hear people talk about how this Rufus R. Jones, Freight Train, a lot of charisma and stuff. And I'm watching him and Bugsy McGraw, and they both wrestle like they have Parkinson's. Like after they
that's how baby faces used to act, like puffing out their cheeks.
Dude, after they hit one move, they start gyrating and dancing, but it's like the shittiest dancing you will ever see. It's like legit like they have Parkinson's. They go for one punch, and then they start doing this shit, and everyone's going crazy. And I'm like, that is...
Your audio cut out.
I had a phone call real quick from the eye surgeon. I don't know why. But anyway, it's like they hit one move, and then they just start fucking gyrating, and it's shitty shaking, shitty dancing. It's terrible. They have shitty gear too, and it looks really bad. And awful. Did you notice that in this tag? So the Assassins, were they like a legit tag team? Because I'm assuming Rufus R. Jones and Bugsy were just like a makeshift tag team thrown together.
Well, the Assassins were a legit tag team.
They sure didn't show it because nobody in this fucking tag team match did any tag team offense. Neither team.
No, I know that. I don't know if the Assassins were always the same guys. I'm very I don't have a lot of info on the Assassins. But with the way those two guys were huffing and puffing, that's how baby faces used to act in the 70s. Is that's how I guess when you're a good person, you dance between punches.
They were the only ones who did it. The rest of this card, people weren't acting like buffoons.
That's the thing, dude. There's so many fucking goofy characters on this.
Oh,
when people. When I don't want to hear ever Jim Cornette fucking shit on Doink or shit on fucking Santino or Young Bucks. Dude, there's 9 Santinos on this show. Get the fuck out of here.
Dude, he can't. I don't want to hear. You're right. You're actually absolutely right. I never want to hear Jim Cornette talk about how these new guys are shitting on the industry because I would be like, Jim, have you seen Starrcade 83?
He just thinks we're not going to watch this stuff. That's what he hopes.
I can't believe this was the first match. If I had seen this as the first match, I would have been so fucking pissed off. So if you guys are wondering, don't watch this fucking match. This is how it ends. The Fat Assassin.
Fat Assassin. That's what they should just call him.
There's Fat Assassin, there's regular Assassin. Fat Assassin, he blind tags in. And then he just fucking schoolboy rolls up Bugsy McGraw, and that's it. That's the whole fucking match. And you know what? One thing I would say, it was a really nice blind tag. It was like one of the best blind tags I had ever seen because yeah, I had to like rewatch it because I was like, wait, what did I just miss? Like,
Mhm.
because the guy just came in out of nowhere. Like he came in from the apron. I was like, how is that the legal guy? Like he's not the legal man. Why is this referee just allowing it? And I had to watch. I was like, oh, there was a blind tag. Ref called it, and that's what happened. But awful fucking first match. Awful, terrible.
No good. Awful first match.
Do any of these guys do anything after this? Like
I
go
think
on
I
to
think
anything?
I think both Bugsy and Rufus are like territorial stars. They're kind of like the road comics of their day. Um, the Fat Assassin. That'd be a good nickname for Eddie Kingston.
The Fat Assassin. Yeah, actually, that would be a great name. The Fat Assassin, dude. You know what else? They all had like, especially Rufus. They had terrible fucking gear on, and I don't
Yeah,
want to hear about back then. That's how they get. No, if you look at least like Ric Flair and like fucking Ricky Steamboat, they at least had gear that like fit them.
yes.
Rufus
Ric
R.
Flair had
Jones and
Ric Flair's
Bugsy.
trunks. Looked. I got to give his trunks credit. Those were good trunks.
Yeah, so it's not like back in the day they didn't have good gear. It was just like this guy's trunks. They're just like so saggy. It looks like he just got like the largest pair of fucking underwear you could find and he put it on. It just looked terrible. I was like, God, this guy
All
looks.
these all
He
these
looks
guys look like guys who have 9 to 5 jobs, and they just like put on underwear and run to the arena. Like they just
yeah,
run to the arena, put on underwear when they're done with their 9 to 5 jobs.
yeah. It was so fucking awful. And
I
then
was listening to a
yeah,
tribute to Scott Hall, and when he was being trained by Gene Anderson, who's one half of the Anderson brothers, he used to make him take flat backs on concretes. And if I was Scott Hall and I saw this goofy shit, be like, why do I have to throw my back on a concrete? Because everything is about how tough these guys were. And then they're like
yeah,
dancing like fucking idiots in their underwear. It doesn't fit. They got their beer
yeah.
belly out. They look like they
Mm-hmm.
just fucking came from bingo night. And if I was Scott, I'd be like, why the fuck do you have to throw my goddamn back on a concrete fucking floor? How is it gonna make me dance better when I start hitting a fat assassin, you fucking idiot?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. They don't even do wrestling moves in this
Dude, these
match.
were like it's just like they were so tough back then. You're just a bunch of fucking con men. Shut that fuck up.
Yeah. So right after this match, they go to Gordon Soley and Bob Cuddle, and they
Bob
actually
Coddle. It's not Cuddle.
Cuddle, and they
Bob Cuddle.
introduce you to Starrcade.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why I think this like they definitely didn't have an intro because they did it right then and there. They go like, folks, Starrcade 1983 and blah blah blah, and I'm like, are they doing the intro now? It was
Mm-hmm.
so out of place that they're doing the intro now, and it made me, you know what made me think? I'm thinking the first match was probably supposed to be some kind of dark match that they still just
Well, they
put on.
probably remember that they're not thinking that there's going to be a network where you're going to watch this and see commercials for fucking America's Got Talent. They
Yeah,
probably were like, look, everyone's coming here to watch this fucking Ric Flair match and the Roddy Piper match. That way, if we have any technical problems during, who gives a shit about this Rufus match? You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Let's get the technical problems out of the way,
Oh,
and then
I
we'll
see.
intro the
They
show.
just,
Yeah, you're right.
yeah, they probably were. They're probably like, let's just make sure everything works. Just start fucking.
Because
Yeah, maybe that's probably what it was. Yeah,
because
throwaway
number one,
match.
we know we're dealing with morons. When you watch the show, you know you're
Yes.
dealing with a bunch of idiots. There's no Vince McMahon's, there's no Kevin Dunn's. You want to fucking shit on Kevin Dunn, but there's nobody. I mean, these are brain dead fucking Southern jerk offs. So they needed like a good 10 minutes to make sure the feet worked. I think.
And they
No,
still fucked
no
it.
one ever did this
They,
before. You got to give them that credit.
oh yeah, that's true. That's true. So they throw it to Tony Schiavone, who's in the dressing room and in the back, the good guy's dressing room, and he's in the behind him. You see Ric Flair talking with Roddy Piper. Ricky Steamboat walks by, and this is gonna be basically the theme of the night.
Yeah.
Between every match, they're gonna throw it to the back, and Tony Schiavone is gonna be in the dressing room of either the good guys or the bad guys, talking to them, hyping
I
up
will
the
say
main
this was
event.
the best thing of the show. These backstage
This is
segments.
something that they should do even today. You
Yes,
know, like
I would like them to do this in AEW. Because
yes,
I don't think WWE will do it. Like constantly go back
WWE
to
kind of does it. WWE kind of does it. You know, remember
the
Sami Zayn with Roman Reigns? This is the whole reason why it started was on a
yeah.
pay per view, right? Where where you had him in the dressing room segments, and you're like they kind of do it. And you know why this is good? If it's your first, let's say you know nothing about Starrcade '83, right? And you
Or
just
yeah, or
watch
the
it.
Queen.
While as you're watching it, they are building you up the main event of this show as you're watching it. So you
Of
don't even need
Harley
to
and
know.
Rick.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't even need to know like what it is. The show will tell you. And you're right. I want AEW to do stuff like this. Just start. You
And
don't
it's
do it. You
also
don't do
kind
the
of
same thing
showing
on
you
this
like
show.
that the relationships between the characters, whether it's Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, Ric Flair and Angelo Moscow, like, and then Bob
Yes.
Orton's friendship, Bob Orton and Dick Slater with Harley Race. Like, you're building like relationships and stuff that you could build on a TV show, down the road.
Not even all the way to the end, all the way to the very
Yeah,
end, which I will say that was the
but that
best
made the show
part.
worth watching.
Yes, this that was absolutely the best part of the entire show. Just this story that they were telling you from beginning to end. I loved it.
And Tony Schiavone was also really good, and you could tell why
So
this
young.
guy's still around.
He's so young. Yeah,
Yeah.
how old is Tony Giovanni in this? He looks
He's
so
not.
young.
He had to be super young because he's not that old right now. So
Yeah, yeah, he looks very young in this. We go to match number 2: Johnny Weaver and Scott McGee versus Kevin Sullivan and Mark Lewin with Gary Hart as their manager. This is the you take a veteran and you team him up with a young guy tag team match. I
Mhm.
really like those kind of tag team matches. They do it a lot in Mexico where they take a veteran and team up with a rookie
Well,
kind
he
of.
did it with Cody and Hardcore Holly.
Yes, but this was like you had one team like that versus another team like that, which I
Mhm.
do like. Johnny Weaver and Mark Lewin, they both look super fucking old. Right?
Even though Mark Lewis is supposed to be young,
They look so fucking old, and it was like, yeah, you could tell who the old timers were. So what
Johnny
do you call
Weaver
it?
had the worst body of anybody on the show.
Yeah, he I don't know. Rufus R. Jones was pretty much up there too.
Johnny Weaver though
And
just had like an old man body, and it was like, dude,
yeah,
you should be wearing this outfit.
he had an old man body. He had an old man face. He had an old man name, Johnny
Yeah.
Weaver. Like everything about him was old.
Apparently, he's tough. He was one of those guys like, well, you don't know how tough he is outside the ring. I've heard like the Jim
Oh
Cornette.
god. Like nobody cares but you fucking wrestler marks, right?
Yeah, he's
Oh,
actually
how
really
tough this
tough.
guy is. What?
He's actually really tough. He looks like a fucking plumber. I don't.
Yeah. This match wasn't as atrocious as the first match because these guys were actually trying to like wrestle, not tell this stupid fucking gyrating and shit after every punch. The finish comes when the Gary Hart and um, what is it, Kevin Sullivan, they hold Johnny Weaver. Like Johnny Weaver's on his knees and he's by the ropes and they hold both his arms, so he's like kind of vulnerable. They can't defend himself, and then fucking Mark Lewin comes down with like a fucking
Spike.
diving knee drop on Johnny Weaver's left arm, and then he
Yeah,
pins him.
cutting the arms and stuff was fucking weird too. Yeah.
You know what? I kind of liked it because it was like the guy hit him in the arm and his arm hurt so bad that he just didn't want to even kick out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of was like, I had never seen like a finish like that. And I was like, I kind of like that. It's kind of interesting because, like he couldn't protect himself at all. And the guy jumped from the fucking top turnbuckle and hit him. So I was like, I'll buy it. It was interesting. I thought the finish was okay. Then after the match, the bad guys, which is Kevin Sullivan and Mark Lewin. By the way, they did reference that Kevin Sullivan, he might be a druid with purple
They're already
trunks.
starting that shit. I missed
Yeah,
that
it
reference.
might be a druid. Yeah, this is not the Kevin Sullivan that you know from WCW. There's no fucking shit on his face.
No, he
He
looks like a
just
regular. He
must
looks like a punk or something.
did. I feel like Kevin Sullivan like shrunk as the years went by
Yeah, yeah.
because he looks humongous here and he just shrunk in
He
height.
looks like a wrestler here, and then by the time we get to like the '90s, he looks like a fucking. He looks like again. He looks like a fucking a fucking like I don't even know like a
He looks like a
insurance
turd
salesman.
that Johnny Weaver shit out. Right?
He looks the new Johnny Weaver.
Yeah. But yeah, he looks like a wrestler here. Kevin Sullivan looks like a wrestler. Afterwards, Kevin Sullivan and Mark Lewin, they start beating up the good guys. Angelo Moscow, he comes in to make a save. but they got the fucking Gary Hart pulled out like a fucking fork or
Knife.
some shit.
Yeah, it's supposed
And
to
they
be like a
got a
spike.
knife,
And
they
he
got it,
just,
and then they fucking stab Scott McGee in the head a bunch of times, and then they fucking get Angelo Moscow's arm. So they're fucking there's blood all over this fucking thing, right?
yeah, way
Like
too much blood, way too early.
for the second match.
Way too. It's the other thing I want to say. What is the difference between this and GCW? That's what I want to ask fucking Jim Cornette, these old school guys.
Yeah.
What is because why do you need to have these guys bleed all over the fucking place?
Yeah.
Your second match that nobody gave a shit about. Although
Why
people
does-
did care when they started bleeding. People were freaking out.
Yeah, why? Like the second match, they had to draw blood, and you might be like, "Well, if it's just a second match in the main event, then I guess it's not a big deal." Wrong. It's like every fucking match after this is just blood. Right? It's so. By the time you get to the main event, it means absolutely nothing. I
Yeah,
swear.
because when I was a kid and I would see pictures of Dusty Rhodes bleeding in Pro Wrestling Illustrated or Ric Flair, I would assume that only happened in the main event. And here you have it happening every other fucking match, and there's just dried blood everywhere in the fucking mat,
Yeah.
and it looks like shit.
It's like I think the only match that didn't have blood was maybe the first match. They were like, let's have blood.
Did
Like,
the
no, why
Briscoes
have
and Ricky
blood?
Steamboat? Did that have blood? I don't remember that having blood.
I don't know, but it's like, yeah, why have blood when we could have gyrating, brother? Right? Gyrating sells more than blood, brother.
And you know what? This match was good. It didn't need this amount of fucking blood, unless like they were building towards a big match with fucking Kevin Sullivan and Mark Lewin, but like I don't know.
They already won. They already won. That was the point.
No, I'm saying like a revenge match. Maybe Mark Lewin and Kevin Sullivan. They have like a one-on-one.
Yeah, maybe it made no sense. There, the bad guys won, and then they beat the shit out of good guys some more. And you had like this fucking old man come save you. It was just kind of like, all right, whatever.
He did look tough.
They have the 1980s version of Renee Young, Barbara Clary.
This was another thing that shocked me, that they actually had a female reporter on the NWA, because I thought like my impression of these old school wrestling companies, like women should be in the kitchen making my babies, and like, but they have a woman actually like be like, you're right, the Renee Young, which I didn't think they would do this back then.
Yeah, and she is interviewing the Este family. It's a family who drove 180 miles.
They on Thanksgiving Day, remember?
Yeah, they came from, I think, like South Carolina. I think. I forgot. They told me, they said the name of the place. I actually looked it up. It is like over a 2-hour drive just to get to that. That'd be the equivalent of you driving all the way to Philadelphia to watch a show, basically.
I mean, right? I would, but I don't know if I would take my wife and kids on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, I know. That was insane. I was like, I can't believe this guy packed his entire family and drove over 2 hours for this. It's crazy.
And he looked poor as fuck. You can tell, like, they probably went to McDonald's afterwards. That was their Thanksgiving dinner. He's like, well, kids, we could have turkey, or we could go see Ric Flair. And the kids like, let's go see Ric Flair. All right.
That Rufus R. Jones, he sure was gyrating tonight.
I love it. I will tell you, though, I'm making fun of them, but, like, if Starrcade was in New York and my dad took me Thanksgiving night, I'd probably have like oh man, it was so great. I went to go see Starrcade with my dad when I was like 5. Oh, I was so, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're making fun of it now, but can you imagine like after Thanksgiving dinner, your dad got you in a car and took you to see wrestling? That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, actually, it would be. You know what? Probably the dad was probably like, I don't want to cook any fucking turkey. Let me just do this.
Well, you know, if you think about it, let's think about like this. If it's 2-hour drives, okay, so let's say the show started at 8. If you get in the car around 5, you could probably go to a restaurant like 2, 3 and have a little Thanksgiving dinner at a diner and then go drive.
Or you could even have.
We should find this family. Ask them.
Yeah, or you could have an early Thanksgiving dinner, like very early,
2, 3 o'clock.
Oh yeah. You're probably right. That's true. All right.
Yeah. And they don't have school in the morning.
Car, the kids. They did that. The whole family was probably farting all over the car. Probably, Thanksgiving dinner.
Then they got some fucking Angelo Moscow blood on them. Gave the maids after the show.
So now we have Tony Schiavone. He is in the back, this time in the bad guys dressing room with Harley Race, Greg the Hammer Valentine, and the Briscoe brothers. So now you get a definite picture of who the good guys are, who the bad guys are. I loved it. It's fantastic as well. You know?
And I like that they're friends.
Bullshit. simple shit.
You know what I like too about this approach that like the bad guys are like friends, like they actually like hang out and like talk
Mm-hmm.
because I hate
Mm-hmm.
now like there'll be like a bad guy that like Triple H be like this like an example Triple H be walking down the hallway and JBL will be like fuck you and Triple H be like fuck you. It would have been cool if like what if Triple H and JBL like are on like they're actually buddies like you know what I'm saying like
Yeah, no,
that
that was like that even until I want to say the mid '90s, wasn't it? The mid '90s, it was still kind of like that,
yes
right?
if you were a bad guy you hung out you were friends with the other bad guys like
Yeah, which I
you
always
guys
liked.
did
I
things
really liked
together.
that. Yeah, yeah, I used to like that. But yeah, they don't because you know what? Also, like when they had like lumberjack matches, there was a clear line between like
Mhm.
the good guy side and the bad guy side. You know?
Yeah, yeah. You know who I feel like put an end to that was Triple H because Triple H would just tell good when he was a good guy, he would tell other good guys to go fuck themselves, and that didn't make him like cool. It just kind of like fucking ruined the whole show.
Yeah, yeah. I liked it better when all the good guys were friends and all the bad guys were friends. I really like that
They
better.
should,
You
the
know?
AEW should bring that back. Even MJF should be like friends with the bad guys again.
Yeah, yeah. MJF should be he like I hate this thing where he's like there might be some issues between him and Malcolm Bivens. No, they should all just be friends,
Yeah,
you know? Like that's the way it should be, you know, but fuck it. All right, so we go to match number 3. The Pride of Puerto Rico. Carlos Colon
this was the
versus
worst match.
versus Abdullah the Butcher. I have no idea why this fucking match is on this card.
Well, they keep
Um,
mentioning Puerto Rico. And again, I'm guessing I should do some research on. I'm sure it's out there. I wouldn't be surprised if the Puerto Rican company gave them some money and said you got to have our guys on this
oh yeah, okay. I can probably
because
see
they
that
keep
happening.
our friends in San Juan, and it's a very weird. They keep mentioning Puerto Rico, Gordon Soley, especially when they're putting up the cage, and that's a very weird thing for like people in South Carolina to keep talking about our friends in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, yeah, it was very weird. It just felt out of place.
I kind of
There
feel like
is
they had a deal.
I can see that happening. There's a foreign object like right away.
Mm-hmm.
There's just fucking blood happening right away. They're just using the fork in plain sight. There's a ref bump, which probably won't. It's also not the only ref bump of the night.
They literally just punch and bite each other. They don't do anything.
Yeah. So there's a ref bump, and then Carlos Colon has the figure 4 on Abdullah. Remember, this is like in the '80s where everybody's finisher was basically the figure 4.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody had this fucking finisher,
Well,
right?
in the
The
NWA,
Hammer,
yeah.
Dusty Rhodes, everybody did. So he got the figure 4 on Abdullah, but the referee's out. Hugo Savinovich, the former Spanish commentator
Yeah,
for
I was
WWE,
shocked when he came out. I'm like, the
he
return of Hugo
is
Savinovich.
he is skinny. He's got hair.
Mm-hmm.
He looks so different. I had to look him up because I was like, "Is this the same Hugo?" And it is.
It is.
He hits Carlos Colon, and I think Abdullah the Butcher wins or something like that.
Dude,
This is
the grossest thing, and it just really like put me off the show, was when Carlos was licking Abdullah's open wound. I was like,
uh,
dude, this is fucking horrendous. This is fucking.
yeah.
I hated this match. You want to say what you will about GCW, but this somehow is worse. This somehow is worse than anything.
I this was worse than the Assassins versus Rufus R. Jones
Yeah,
and Bugsy McGraw.
but
This
also
was the worst match.
the reason why I think it's worse is that there was like blood diseases going around, and the fact that these guys were just so blatantly like not taking care of it, and they're leaving all that fucking blood on the ring, and
Yeah.
everyone's cutting themselves. I hated this match, and dude, Abdullah the Butcher is probably the biggest piece of shit waste of a fucking human being to ever be a wrestler.
I
Like the
can't
fact
believe this guy is considered a legend. I
I
can't
have a
believe
figure of
this.
his.
I
Actually, it
can't
is a
believe this.
good figure.
I can't believe this fat slob who
He is
does
a fat
nothing.
slob.
That does nothing but fucking forks you in the head.
Did WWE put him in the Hall of Fame?
They probably did. That's not. Yeah, they probably did. I mean,
He
they
should
put
be in the
everybody
Hall
in
of
the fucking
Shame,
Hall of Fame.
dude.
Yeah.
You know what? Abdullah the Butcher is the perfect example that if you hang around long enough, you just get called a legend by default. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
all it is.
You
You just
hang
have to
around
just
long
not
enough.
stop.
You hang around long enough, The Rock will invite you to do fucking Tales of the Territory. Right?
Oh,
Like,
Abdullah was on that?
yeah, dude. That show had a whole bunch of people that it had some names, but it also had a whole bunch of people who had like, yeah, you're a fucking nobody. You know?
I mean, WWE made a figure of the fucking guy, which I told you I have. which
Yeah. Does it got blood on it? Like the fake
no,
blood?
but he's got like the fucking jigs on the forehead.
Ugh. Yeah, this was absolutely the worst match.
This
Yeah.
was horrendous. This was one of the worst matches I've ever seen. And
This match makes Jim Cornette have to apologize to AEW. You know? This is
I don't think
how
he
bad
likes
this
Abdul the
fucking
Butcher
match
though.
is.
I think he said Abdul the Butcher's shit for years. I don't think he ever was like, I
Oh,
love
okay.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is the shit. Abdullah the Butcher was
Abdul
shit.
the Butcher is
Carlos
fucking
Colon was shit in this match too.
Carlos
You know?
Colon's shit too. Yeah, they're both.
Mhm.
This was
In this match,
horrendous.
he was shit. Yeah.
An embarrassment to the sport of kings. Get it the fuck out of here.
So Tony Schiavone is in the back with Angelo Mosca. Angelo Mosca's got fucking taped up arm, and they're zooming in on Angelo. He's giving a passionate promo about how, like, Angelo, why'd you do what you did? Why'd you jump in? He goes, because I don't like that shit. I don't like it when those guys take advantage of the young people, because the young people, the youth, is what's the most important. We got to protect our youth. And as they're zooming out, remember they zoomed in for this, and as they're zooming out, you see next to him Scott McGee with blood dripping down. He's half dead. No medical attention to this motherfucker as he's going.
This is the funniest part of the show.
It was so funny, dude.
Dude, this guy has been bleeding with no medical attention for like 20 minutes because Harley Race cut a promo. They had that fucking Abdullah match. Angelo Moscow cut a promo, and this guy is just bleeding. He's just sitting there. He's probably gonna be dead soon of blood loss.
And Angelo Moscow, he's got bandages on his arm, so he's got medical attention. But this other guy's like dying.
He's just fucking bleeding. Do you think they knew this was gonna be that funny, or did they think like, "Oh, this is badass"?
Dude, I was like, "There's no way they didn't do this on purpose." It was hilarious to me.
It was so funny,
like, but we gotta protect our youth. The youth are future. They zoom out. He's like,
bleeding all over. Like there's not. I one thing if there was like a doctor cleaning him up. No, he's just fucking.
There was nothing. They just let him sit there.
Hemorrhaging blood for 20 minutes. This fucking idiot.
This shit was so funny. Oh my god, that made me laugh so much. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm sorry. The first family, they actually drove only 2 hours. The next group of people that we come back, we come back from that, and they go back to Barbara Clary, and she's interviewing two beautiful young women.
Good looking broads.
Yeah. And
they look like they have jobs.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The first family, they actually only drove 2 hours. These ladies, they were from Raleigh, South Carolina. They drove 2 hours and about 20 minutes to get to where they are. Okay. So they drove over 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't believe these two young women.
They look like career women.
On Thanksgiving, drove close to 2.5 hours to watch.
On Thanksgiving Day, they abandoned their families. They dressed up to go to see Starrcade 83 to see fucking Carlos Colon lick up blood.
Almost like business casual dress up, you know?
Yeah.
Like
they looked like they fucking run their own business. Like if one of them said like I'm the CEO of this Tupperware company or some shit, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Dude, do you think they went there trying to fuck Ric Flair or Ricky Steamboat? Like
I don't know about. You know what? Part of me did think that, and dude, I'm gonna tell you guys.
Like we're gonna try.
Yeah, if you watch the show and they pan around to the audience,
there's a lot of women.
You will see a whole bunch of women. Mm-hmm. In the audience. There is so much women at this show. I was like, oh, this is what these wrestlers are always doing podcasts. This is what they're talking about. How back then these women used to just come to these shows, and I was like, holy shit, that really happened. You know
what crazy. I think the appeal for women was and why they came. We have to remember, back here, a lot of these people probably thought this was real, right?
Okay, yeah, that's true.
They think it's real, and they see these men getting cut up and still fighting. So in their minds, like these are men's men. Like this is a man who could really take care of me because they see like these guys fighting for their lives, and maybe that's a turn on. Like, oh my god, Ric Flair's so hot that he came back from a plane crash. He's gonna rest. He's gonna fight in a steel cage. And like I want to suck his dick. Like maybe that's it. Like they're turned on by because they think these men are real fighters. Little do they know
Maybe
they're just fucking circus con men.
I have never been to a wrestling show where there were this many women. I've either
Yeah,
always
it's
all the
interesting.
wrestling shows I've been to, whether it be WWE or indie show, it's either majority of them you see are like families
Mhm.
or just dudes, just a sea of dudes. So this was
The
really surprising when I
the
saw
other
this.
thing Vince did when he took over was he chased away the fucking broads. You know,
Yeah, well, he put the families in. It's like there's more money at the fucking families, you know,
there's more money. More,
more
you
money.
know, you're always
By
gonna
the
find
way,
a rat. If you're a good looking guy, you'll find a chick to blow you. But we need the
yeah,
money.
yeah, you basically will. By the way, we are 30 minutes into a 3 hour show so far. So we've had 3 matches in 30 minutes. That shows you how short those matches are. Those first 3 matches, that's how short they are, which actually,
That's fine. I don't think we need
that's
a
the
Johnny
way it
Weaver
should
match to go
be.
long.
That's the way it should be. All these matches shouldn't be like fucking 20-minute classics,
Well,
you know?
they eventually abandoned that formula because there's some WCW pay per views in the early '90s where they would fucking have guys wrestle for 90. They would have Kevin Nash in 1991 out there for like 2.5 hours. And you know what I mean?
Jesus.
Like
Yeah.
some of those later WCW pay per views, they just leave those guys out there. But we'll get to that. But yes,
Yeah.
this is how it should have been. Keep
So
it
we're gonna
moving.
match them. What?
You keep it moving because people are really only there for 3 matches, and I would argue they're really only there for one match.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, most of this undercard you don't really need to watch. We go to match number 4, Wahoo McDaniels and Mark Youngblood, who actually get graphics now. So by the way, all these 3 matches, there's no entrances. As soon as they show you the ring, everybody's already in the fucking ring.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first. No difference here. They're all still in the ring, but Wahoo McDaniels and Mark Youngblood, they actually get graphics. This is
Yeah, you
from
can
here
tell
on out.
we're
Everybody
going
starts
up with
getting
the star power.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So the first 3 matches, they're all fucking losers. They don't get anything. But anyway, it's Mark Youngblood, Wahoo McDaniels versus Bob Orton, which is Randy Orton's father, and
Dude,
Dick Slater.
he looks a lot like Randy and Nate when Nathan watching him this young.
Yeah, yeah, he does. Just he looks like Randy Orton with shittier hair and a shittier body. But he
Yes.
looks, and
But
when he cuts a promo later, he sounds like him too.
yeah, it was kind of
Yeah.
crazy because like I just always have him in my head as an old man, and seeing him young, it's like, oh yeah, I could. Because when I first saw Randy Orton, I'm like, that's Bob Orton's son. But now
Yeah.
you like really fucking see it, you know?
Oh, 100%. By the way, they announce that the referee is Tommy Young, and when they do, there's this one person go, "Woo!" Do you hear that one person cheer
Yeah,
for
Tommy
Tommy
Young
Young?
was over. He was like the
That
Audrey
was
Edwards of his
so
day.
funny. One person cheer for him.
Hmm?
Um, by the way, what do you get? So right when this is happening, they show that there's Dusty Rhodes. Right before this match begins, they go, wait a minute, everybody, like, we want to make an announcement about Dusty Rhodes, right?
Yeah.
And the fucking mic cuts out. There's like, so you don't know what's happening, and the crowd's like, you can hear him cheering and shit, but you don't know what the fuck's going on because the ring announcer, his mic cuts out. But basically, Dusty Rhodes is there. I guess he just walked in now. He's sitting there watching this match.
Yeah,
Um,
he had a extra long Thanksgiving dinner being Dusty Rhodes.
yeah, yeah,
He couldn't see the early matches.
yeah. What do you call it? The match ends when Bob Orton hits a second turnbuckle superplex on Mark Youngblood, and yeah, the bad guys win.
And then they
This
beat
is
him
all
up.
right. What?
And they beat up the guys. They beat up the Indians.
Oh yeah, they beat him up afterwards as well, right?
Yeah, this was
Yeah,
like the fourth match where the bad guy won and then beat the shit out of the good guy.
yeah, that's
This
very
was a
weird.
good match though. This was now the match quality is starting to go up. This wasn't that bad of a match.
Yeah, you're right. You're right in this quality of like just the way they like act. It looked more real. Like Wahoo McDaniels, like when he was getting a fucking annoyed at the double team, like
Yeah.
he legit looked like he was getting annoyed, like pissed off,
Mhm.
And you could tell, you know, it's all acting, but he legit looked so fucking annoyed that they kept double teaming on this young guy, and the referee wasn't fucking like letting him fucking do anything about it. Like, so the quality of performance is definitely going up, right?
Yes, yes. There's a reason why they still talk about Yahoo. Yahoo, whatever the fuck his name is. Wahoo.
Yahoo, yeah, Yahoo, yeah.
Wahoo. They always talk about it. But I do think if Wahoo had been younger, I think if he had been younger, I think Vince would have. That guy that they did have, the Italian Chief Chase Strong, that guy fucking stunk. That
Yeah.
guy is like a ghetto
He wasn't
bootleg.
even he wasn't even Native American. Chief
No,
J.
he's an Italian guy.
Yeah. Wahoo McDaniels, by the way, he is super old on this thing.
I
He
know.
looks like an Indian. He looks like the Indian version of like the Native American version
Dude,
of.
he looks like the statues they have in like front of fucking tobacco shops.
Well, his face looks like that grandfather's face from Up. You know, it's like square with the big fucking nose, and everything's kind of just like squashed in there. That's what it looked like. It looked really old. So yeah, this is where the match quality goes up. Still not the best match in the show. They go back to Tony Schiavone. He's back with the good guy dressing room. Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, and Jay Youngblood. And now they're actually cutting promos. And they're trying to they're kind of responding to what Harley Race had said and everything. Because they go, I heard everything you just said when you were interviewing them in the bad guys locker room. And they're cutting a promo, and Jay Youngblood starts cutting a promo, and he is fucking terrible. I thought this guy was high because it sounded a little bit like he's
Probably was.
his words. Maybe he's slurring his words a little bit, and his eyes are kind of droopy. And like Ricky Steamboat has to like jump in and like save this guy who's drowning in the promo. He kept calling both guys Rick, which is so fucking annoying. I was like, can you just call one Ricky and call one Flair or some shit? Can you calling them both Rick? So it's fucking extra confusing. And you have no energy in your delivery. You fucking suck. Find out later, this guy fucking dies 2 years later.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I heard also he got mad at Ricky Steamboat and cut him off. Like he got mad at Ricky Steamboat. He seemed like listen, his match was pretty good. I think Ricky Steamboat and no, actually I'm sorry, Roddy Piper. I thought they had the second match, but like he didn't have it. Ricky Steamboat. The funny thing is, you put him next to the guy who looked most like the guy on this show, like the guy, like the star, was Ricky Steamboat. And when you put this fucking kid next to him, he just tell you like, you don't got it, kid. Hit the bricks.
Dude, he didn't have the body. He didn't have any of that. You know, when you put him next to Ricky Steamboat, it actually made this guy look way worse. Yeah, I would not have put him next to Ricky Steamboat. It made him look. Yeah, you needed to put this kid next to like a Johnny Weaver. Yes. And then he would have shined, you know.
Well, but I think they were a popular tag team in their day, these two. But I think looking back, it's pretty apparent who the star was, and that's just the way it is. Sorry.
And you know what? Maybe they were just waiting for Scott McGee to die from not getting any medical attention, and then they were like, "When he dies, you get Johnny Weaver, Jay Youngblood." So. We cut back to Barbara Clarvey, I forgot her name already, and she's interviewing Dusty, and they're still having mic problems.
Oh yeah, and Dusty is cutting this big promo, and he's not getting a reaction, but he's not stopping.
Dude, you hear nothing. I heard nothing. It's just like, and I just heard nothing. You missed this entire promo.
Can I think the character of Dusty Rhodes comes off really bad on this show? Did they explain why he didn't ever match at Starrcade? Why he's just watching the show?
No, well, yeah, because he's going to face the winner.
But like, why did he not wrestle on this show? Do we know? So he was the booker back then, I assume.
Maybe he was doing that thing like, nah, I'm not gonna book myself into a match of this magnitude.
No, like, I don't know. But I like his suit though. He's got a nice fat guy suit.
Yeah. He still look good. Definitely weird. Because funny because they're having mic problems.
Do you remember at one point the camera just flies, it focuses on something weird, and they cut to another shot.
Yeah, like dude,
there's so many problems on this show.
Dude, you were giving them props about like, oh, maybe they were smart enough to know like their first time doing it, so they had to like do that first match just to like make sure they don't have any technical problems. But they still didn't fix all the glitches. They still had so many issues.
I know they had a ton of glitches.
They did.
I said they were smart enough to do that. I didn't say they were smart.
Okay, good point. Fair. It's fair. Very fair. All right, so we go to match number 5. it is the TV title, the NWA TV title versus a mask. So if the challenger loses, he has to lose his mask. If he wins, he gets the title. It is Charlie Brown. By the way, one of the women that Barbara interviewed earlier, that was Charlie Brown was her favorite wrestler when she asked.
Yes.
And it's Charlie Brown. It's basically Jimmy Valiant in a fucking mask.
Yes.
And Kabuki,
The
who's
great
with
Kabuki.
Bret Hart. I don't know who has the worst body, Kabuki or Jimmy Valiant.
Jimmy
They both
Valiant.
look terrible.
I fucking hate with a passion Jimmy Valiant. I think he's one of the worst characters in wrestling history.
How is he? I don't know how I don't know how he was popular.
I don't know. Well, he was the goofy character. He is the Orange Cassidy, if you will. He is the Santino. He's the comedy relief, but he's not funny or interesting or a good worker. You know, everyone when Vince took over wants to shit on how cartoonish WWE is. Then you have this fucking ding dong in this stupid outfit fucking wrestling another ding dong. And it's like, no, you guys, when you guys try to be cartoonish, it was embarrassing. Like, I'm sorry, you can't say Doink was embarrassing and then talk about how great this shit was. This shit is fucking clown shoes, bro. And so's Jimmy Valiant. Get the fuck out of here.
Dude, you know Jimmy Valiant's WWE Hall of Famer?
Well, I know. Well, they had to put in the Valiants because they wanted to put in Johnny Valiant, who's Vince's friends. You know, they're not real brothers, but they kept the names.
Oh, they're like the Ramones?
Yeah, they're not really brothers. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And like the Andersons. But he put the Valiant brothers in because he wanted to put the Valiant that he likes, Johnny Valiant, luscious Johnny Valiant, who also, by the way, is a no talent fucking goofball.
Why does he like Johnny Valiant so much?
They dormed together in college.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow, that's crazy how they both ended up in the wrestling business.
Well, I think he was like, "Hey Vince, I'm in wrestling, and then I'll hire you, but you're not gonna get any favors from me, pal."
Yeah, Jimmy Valiant he's like basically doing what Rufus R. Jones is doing, like punching and then gyrating
Somehow
after every
worse.
punch. Yeah, because he's like, it's almost funny because it looks like Jack Skeleton doing from Nightmare
Yeah, I mean
Before.
the outfit is better than his what he usually wore, but it's
Yeah,
just
it looks like he's
fucking.
wearing long johns. It still looks really weird.
And this was a long match too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like it was like.
And he wins with Charlie Brown wins with an elbow drop. Yeah, that's right, an elbow drop, guys. Not off the top rope, just
Well, he
an
couldn't
elbow
go
drop.
the top rope.
Just a fucking elbow drop. It was so weird. I was like, he won with an elbow drop. All right. Okay. That's what it was.
Kabuki, I heard, has had good matches. He didn't look good in this either. Both guys, it really felt like an indie match with two old guys.
They say that about Kabuki when I watched the WCCW documentary about Kabuki, all this.
Yeah, the territory guys love Kabuki. They love Kabuki.
Every single thing I've seen of Kabuki, it makes me ashamed to be Asian. It is like the guy has a terrible body.
I think Kabuki did start the mist though, but Muda perfected the mist.
Did Kabuki really start the mist?
I think he started the mist, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, in this, he just does the mist in the introduction. They go Kabuki and he fucking miss. Right? He just he doesn't even spit it in someone's face.
What is the racist logic behind Asian people having mists?
I don't know. I think
are you guys supposed to secrete poison because you're otherworldly? Is that part of you when you pray to your dragon?
You have it as a capsule, you spit it out, I guess. But isn't there
no? But why can't everyone just shoot mist?
Because back then in America, it's not even back then; it's still now that Asian people are sneaky. They're cheats. So that's.
I thought it was that the Asians have a special not semen. That'd be a special saliva that makes mist.
Or maybe like ninjas. If ninjas did that shit, maybe.
There is a racist reason that some territory promoter gave the Asian people have mists. Maybe we'll find out.
Did you know that the different colors of mist are supposed to represent different things?
Yeah, I know, like the kryptonite. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah,
Muda
yeah,
started
like
that.
it's like the black mist is supposed to be like the strongest mist, like it's gonna
Yeah,
blind you. But
I
if you
like
get
that,
like
and I like that. In the last match, Nakamura used the mist against Muda.
yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah. But other people have done that to
I
Muda.
do like, but I do like the fact that Muda owned like Muda. I feel like owned the mist and made it like not racist and badass.
Yeah. Mhm. All right, so we're gonna go to back to Tony Schiavone. He's back with Harley Race, Randy Orton, and Dick Slater. And by the way, I forgot to mention previously, right before this, when Tony Schiavone is actually talking with Ric Flair, he did mention how Harley Race tried to put out a bounty on him, but they
Yes,
fucking failed because he's still here. So now Tony Schiavone's back there with Harley Race and Randy, or I mean, Randy, Bob Orton and Dick
who
Slater,
talks
who
like
are the
Randy?
ones who took the bounty, and they do explain it, which I love. This is like I said, the best part of the show. He goes, Bob Orton talks about how it's like, yeah, guess what? It was 25 grand, and Harley Race did pay us. We still got that money, and I get it. Ric Flair still made it to the match tonight, right? Even though Ric Flair still made it, this man is a real man, so he still paid us. But
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't even matter, Ric Flair, that you're fucking making to the show because Harley Race, he's still gonna beat you because he's the real man. Like I like that. It was like, yeah, you know what? Like he's like they're explaining like, yeah, he still paid us, but so if you're wondering about that plot thread, did they get their payment or not? Because they failed at their bounty at the end. They explained that yeah, he
Yeah,
still paid us
this
and
was
everything.
good, another good segment, and actually like this was the most I've ever heard Bob Orton talk because he didn't talk in WWE, and I was like,
Sounded
oh,
just like
this
Randy
guy could
Orton,
have been a
man.
good talker. I watching this, I'm like, Bob Orton could have been better than what they gave him. I mean, he's a fucking legend, but I feel now he's more of a legend because of who his son is. But that's a whole other
He
story.
sounded almost just like Randy Orton.
Yeah, it was
You
kind of
know?
funny. Yeah,
Yeah, it was very eerie. And you know what? Like when I was watching this, and I'm like, it's like a year later that he's at WrestleMania, right?
yeah.
From this moment, right? And
Mhm.
remember, this is Bob Orton
He's
does not.
already in the WWE in '84. Him and
Yeah,
Piper all jumped like early '84. So it's
Bob Orton, by the way, doesn't he has no cast on the
no,
show, right? So it's not like
I
he's a
think that's a
broken
Vince
arm.
thing.
I wonder. Yeah, because I was watching this and going like, yeah, why didn't Bob Orton be a bigger deal in WBF? And
Well,
I wonder if it's because he was injury prone or something.
I think that Piper was supposed to be um Piper was supposed to be the manager for Orton, Schultz, and Orndorff, and then Piper just outshone them so much that Orton became Piper's bitch, you know, and he kind of
Yeah,
never escaped being Piper's bitch.
maybe. Yeah, probably.
I mean,
Okay.
Orton's a good talker, but when Piper got on the mic and got unleashed under Vince, there was nobody better to this day, you know?
Yeah.
Mm. That was the other
So
weird thing about the show. Piper doesn't talk,
he talks a little bit
but
at
not
the
like
end,
the
doesn't he?
Piper that we
No,
know.
no, no, not like coked out pipe. No, no, not like that. Yeah. Barbara Clavy, she is with Dusty Rhodes now in the back, I believe, right? Or
Yeah,
whatever, because
baby.
the first time the mic cut out. So, Dusty Rhodes is his whole fucking Dusty Rhodes thing. It's basically the reason why he's there. He gets to face the winner of Harley Race versus Ric Flair for the NWA title. Match number 6. This is the match that I did see previously. It is a dog collar match of Greg the Hammer Valentines versus Roddy Piper. I believe this is for the North American title. This is not for
It's
a title,
for
right?
not. I thought it was for the U.S. title.
Oh, one of the fucking titles, yeah. And I believe this is the first ever dog collar match, correct?
Yeah, they kind of act like it's never been done before. If it has, they're not telling us in the broadcast, but they're kind of acting like
Okay,
it's never
yeah,
been done.
because they're acting like this is the first one. I looked it up, so everyone's claimed that this is the first ever dog collar match.
Mhm.
Um, there is It's very bloody, obviously. Just like man, almost like everything in this fucking card. Everything is like just blood. And the finish comes. They don't do any crazy shit, but
It's
they
just
do some.
brutal.
Yeah, but they do some cool spots. Like I'll give you an example. There's this one thing where um they what do you call it? I forgot who it is. I think it's Roddy Piper. He takes the chain
Mhm.
and he wraps it around the ring post. So when he pulls on it, the guy has to his back is up against a turnbuckle, and pulling on the chain is yanking his head back. I thought that
Yeah.
was fucking. There's not a lot of what do you call it uh movement involved in it, but it looks cool,
It looks
because you
cool.
can understand it. Yeah.
When I
So
was younger, I thought Greg Valentine had a terrible body. Seeing him compared to everyone else, I'm like, oh, he actually has he's built like a fucking brick house. And
mhm,
the beginning of the match where they're just like kind of moving their necks around, they're like they haven't like moved yet, but they're like kind of like trying to pull each other near each other just with their necks. I thought
mhm.
it was cool. This is, when they talk about old school brutality, old school tough. This is the kind of match I picture, not the other goofy shit we saw.
Yeah. So in the beginning, I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to say this. In the beginning, when they're tied up and they're just standing there facing each other, it's almost like a sign of machismo where they're just like trying to show who's
Mm-hmm.
got stronger neck muscles. They're just trying to pull each other without using the hands. It's just with their necks, right? And it's just like it does really look cool. Like it's almost like yeah, you can feel this pressure. I'm gonna fucking yank you closer to me, and this guy's like, no, 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 I'm gonna do it to you. It's a good match. This is, I would say, like
I'm
this
gonna say
match.
this was the best match on the show.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. This is the
Yeah,
best match of the show,
and I'm gonna
and
say this is what else I'll say. I think this was, and I think Roddy Piper's had some good matches. I think this is the best match Roddy Piper ever had.
um,
Or would you say Bret Hart at WrestleMania 8?
WrestleMania with Bret Hart. I really like that match, but maybe I'm a
But
little biased.
we're gonna, as we go through the weeks, we'll find out.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, but this was a very good Piper match. It's a very good Greg the Hammer Valentine match. I think this match
I think this match
still
got them
kind of
both signed.
it still kind of holds up today. If you watched it today, you know what? You know what I did actually? After I watched this match,
Mm-hmm.
the next night, I actually watched the double dog collar match that happened recently at the Ring of Honor final battle between the
Oh, I didn't
Briscoes
watch that yet.
and FTR.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah,
watch
I
it.
watched it because I was like, I want to see how this holds up, right?
Yeah,
And because remember, this is like I'm watching basically the very first dog collar match, the
yeah.
latest dog collar match.
40,
And
40 years later, almost 39 years later, almost.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, I guess so. And you know what? They're both good. Don't get me wrong. I think the FTR Briscoes match is good too, but I would say there's there is some stuff in the FTR Briscoe match that it's kind of like, come on, that's bullshit.
yeah. This
But
was
we're go
the
ahead.
problem with some of these newer matches is that they're just doing spots, and they almost
Yeah.
pause the believability to get the spot in. And this is like Roddy Piper's not trying to get the crowd to be like, "Wow, he's trying to." I want to beat the shit out of this guy, win and leave. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want
Mm-hmm.
to do. And no one's chanting "fight forever" in this match. If Roddy Piper won in like a minute, the fans would just be happy that he won. You know,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
they're not because they just want to see Greg Valentine get the shit kicked out of him. And that's what I think. I haven't seen a double dog collar match, but that's what kind of makes this match work is that these two guys are just trying to beat each other up, win, and get the fuck out.
Yeah. So in the double dog collar match, it's a modern day match. So what that
Yeah.
means is you see them set up for the big spot at the end, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in this match, the finish, if you really think about it, just kind of comes out of nowhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
He basically Greg the Hammer Valentine. He's sitting on the top turnbuckle, and Roddy just kind of yanks him down. He falls. Roddy punches him once in the face, and then he pins him, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But it makes sense, right? He fucking yanked the guy off. The guy fucking crashes onto the mat. You give him one good fucking punch in the face, and you fucking pin him, and that's the way it just kind of comes out of nowhere, but it makes sense. And then afterwards, even though Roddy wins, Greg the Hammer Valentine is so fucking pissed off. He starts actively using the fucking chain to beat the
Yeah.
shit out of Roddy, and then he fucking hangs him on the ring apron with the fucking chain, which I thought was like, oh, that was actually pretty cool. It's like it almost makes you think like, man, if you had brought this brutality during the match itself, you probably would have won. But you could tell maybe it's like, oh, he was holding back for some reason. But I like this a lot.
Well, he got pissed. He got pissed that he lost like that, and then he was taking revenge. No,
Yeah.
it was a great match. My favorite match on the show.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that Vince signs Piper and then like completely changes the character. But Vince that at the end. But I think these two guys they come across as stars in this match.
This is the match that got both of these guys signed to WWF, right? Both Greg and Roddy Piper,
Yeah,
right?
and for years in the black when I was a kid, the black and white after magazines would talk about this match like it was like, oh, you don't know, this was
Mhm.
the best, and this stole the show at Starrcade, and it really did.
Yeah, I would. This is not the best match I've ever seen, but on this show, this is absolutely the best match.
Absolutely the best match, and at the time, I mean, it's the biggest show that wrestling ever put on, and these guys steal it, and you got to give them props for that.
Absolutely.
Because
We
Greg
go
Valentine
back
never
to
steals. The only thing Greg Valentine steals after this is an extra fucking muffin of catering. So
yeah, or he's the free pens he probably gets at the fucking autograph signings. So Tony Schiavone, he's in the good guys locker room again. He's with Ric Flair, Rahul McDaniels, who's now got a broken arm because after his match with Randy Orton, what they did with Bob Orton, they did was they they grabbed his arm and they hung it outside the fucking ring, and then I think Bob Orton jumped off the top and like
yes,
fucking
yeah,
landed on it, which is a cool looking spot.
it is
So
a
yeah,
cool looking spot for
yeah.
that
So
time.
Rahul
Yes.
McDaniels probably has a broken arm, but Tony Schiavone's with Ric Flair, they're talking, and then they have Barbara Clary with Don Carnoodle in the audience, and they're interviewing him. I had never heard of this guy before, but I
Oh, I heard of
know
him. He's Sergeant Slaughter's like partner in the tag team.
he was what?
He was Sergeant Slaughter's partner.
Oh, Don Carnudo, I know because he passed away 2 years ago, 2021, and he was mentioned a memorial. So yeah, he was in there. He's not wrestling on this one either, so I don't know why.
No, he
But
looked old too.
yeah, he did. He did look old. I won't lie to you, a lot of people on this show look old.
Yeah.
So you get match number 7. This is the penultimate match. You get this is for the NWA Tag Team Championship. You got the Briscoe brothers, who are looking super skinny. This
And
is
old.
yeah, Jack and Jerry Briscoe, and
We're
old. Yeah,
supposed to
they
be
look
so fucking
old.
great. By the way, all I ever hear about is how great Jerry Briscoe was. Oh, he was the best. He was the best. We keep going. I'm gonna give my
Dude, they look like they're only like a year or two away from looking like Johnny Weaver. You
I know.
They look almost just like him. But the Briscoes versus Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood. Angelo Moscow, he is the referee. By the way, Angelo Moscow, who I think he also passed away in 2021.
Yes.
He is
Angelo, yeah. Angelo Moscow,
he's an
like
ugly man.
he is, but
Angelo,
I like that's an asset to him. I actually came out of this show actually liking him and wishing he had been more of a character in the NWA saga. But
yeah, he's kind of like
he's like the old school Italian. Like when he hugs Ric Flair, I
yeah,
didn't expect that. He's like what if he's like the Four Horsemen's old school Italian enforcer? Like they're like,
yeah,
I'll take
yeah.
care of this for you on. Like he just goes, you motherfucker. Like I don't know, I liked him after the end of the show. He was like kind of all over the show. I liked him.
Yeah, he was all over the show.
Yeah. And it's like,
Yeah,
oh, this
he
guy's
kind
kind of
of
likable, and they never did
yeah,
anything.
yeah. He's like passionate and he's
Yeah,
believable and stuff like that. But
Italian. He's like, yeah, come in. I like him.
he is very ugly though.
I know, but that's to his strengths. Like I was like a fucking mafia enforcer. He looked like one of the
Uh,
enforcers in the Spider-Man comic. Do you?
oh yeah, he does. Um, by the way, Ricky Steamboat's the only one who really looks like a star in this.
No. Yes.
They all look, like
Can I
fucking.
say I was watching this and I'm like, if Hogan had said no, because remember Hogan happens 2 months from now. 2 months from now, everything changes when Hogan beats the Iron Sheik, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
And Vince already had this in play. But if Hogan had said no, I would have went with Steamboat as the champ.
yeah. Steamboat looks great. He's got
Yeah.
like I
I think
don't,
Steamboat could have been the guy.
he's got like a very muscular physique.
Mhm. What did you think
Got
of the match?
intensity. Um, like I didn't really like it. You know what, the Briscoes, like
I thought that I liked them. I liked it more than you, but the
Mhm.
Briscoes were not fucking good. Like
The
they are not
Briscoes,
good in
they
this match.
sell comically. The selling that they do is so fucking hokey.
All I
It's
ever
so
heard was how
hokey.
great these guys were. They're fucking horrendous, bro. I mean, I still
Maybe
like the
they were
match. This
better when they were younger. Do you think they were better when they were
I mean,
younger?
Jack Briscoe was the NWA champ for like a long fucking time, and all these old school guys, Jim Ross, Bruce Pritchard, oh Jack Briscoe, even Dave Meltzer, Jack Briscoe. Maybe they didn't want to be there, they didn't want to lose, so they acted like fucking doofuses in this match.
Hmm.
I don't know. They were. I don't think they were good at all. I think they were
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It just like the selling was really hokey. So like
Yeah.
basically what I mean is like when one of the Briscoes would get punched in the face, instead of like just throwing their head back or like maybe just like crumbling to the ground, they would do this thing where he would get punched and then he would go like this, and then he would purposely jump back and fall on his
Oh, I saw
ass.
that a couple of times. That was the
Yeah,
best.
that's how they were selling. It looked so fucking hokey, and I was like, this is some fucking like fucking amateur selling bullshit. It made it look so stupid. Here's the thing, though.
Ricky Steamboat looks like shit. Like he like made these three guys look like fucking jokers. Like he was so much better.
You know, but here's the thing: the people in the audience were eating this shit up,
That's
and I
true.
was
But they
like,
got
I
it.
could,
Well, they love that they Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood were super over. So like that's
yeah,
why they love those guys.
they were eating it up, even though to me it looked like shit.
I think
The
they just
finish
wanted to see Ricky
comes,
Steamboat.
they probably did. Ricky Steamboat's a dreamboat, definitely.
Yeah.
Um, fucking the finish comes when Steamboat fucking gorilla presses Youngblood and he fucking drops him onto
That was
Gerald
cool.
Briscoe. 1, 2, 3. All right, whatever. You know.
And then we get the most ridiculous thing I ever saw. I don't know why they thought this was a good idea. They do the end credits in the middle of the show.
Yeah. When we're talking about the end credits, we're talking about like they do the scrolling credits where you got like the
And
produced
they have
by
Gordon
this,
Sully narrating them too.
yeah, produced by this, lighting by this guy, sound engineer by this guy. And I'm like, I actually thought for a second the show might be over.
Like they just like we're not gonna have the Ric Flair match. Why would we do
And I
that?
was like, yeah, I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? There's still like an hour left in this show. It's so fucking weird.
Well,
All
because I
this
know
shit
what
was,
the problem was the cage. They had to build that cage, and it took forever.
oh, they needed a time killer. That's probably what it was. Yeah,
And
time
they
killer.
really kill a lot of time.
Yeah. So Tony Schiavone is back in the good guys locker room with Ric Flair. Ric Flair, by the way, each time they're coming back to Ric Flair, he's in a different change of clothes because in the beginning he's wearing regular clothes, like a button-down shirt. Then next you see him in like a fucking t-shirt and so forth. And now you see him, he's actually got the robe and everything. Like you see him getting ready for his. I love
Mm-hmm.
that. That was fucking great. They show Charlie Brown. He's a new TV champion. He's fucking acting like a goddamn buffoon in the back, bringing shame to white people. And then,
I hate this guy. I hate
yeah,
him.
then they do. Then Piper cuts a promo. Piper's there. He's got his fucking thing. He's fucking doing a little promo. Then they bring in the new tag team champions, the Steamboat and the fucking
Yeah,
Youngblood. So it's like a celebration of all the good guys. All the good guys won, and they're all, you know, this is what I mean. They're all happy for each other. They're like, yeah,
yeah.
man, you fucking did it, bro. And they're like, yeah, and you know what, Rick, you're gonna do it too. You know, and we know you're gonna win too. Like everybody's like, I don't know, I like that. It was pretty
No, that
sweet.
was cool. Yeah, it was cool that they're happy for each other. They believe
Yeah,
in
and
one another.
they're also encouraging Ric Flair, like, dude, no way, don't worry, you're gonna win too. Just like I won tonight, you're gonna win tonight. I'm like, yeah, man, that's fucking the way it should be.
Mhm.
Um, what do you call it? So Barbara's once again with Dusty Rhodes, and then this guy named James Tiny Week. He sings the national anthem
Mhm.
in the dark.
He looked like Conrad Thompson.
They turn off all the lights on him everywhere, so you can't see this guy at all, and he sings the national anthem. This is 2 hours into the show.
Yeah.
This is
Now
not.
there's. Well, I kind of feel like they were treating it like they treat boxing, whereas like everything else didn't matter. This is the thing that matters. This is the show.
Oh, okay.
Even
I thought
even
that was.
like the Roddy Piper match and the other match, None of that matters. We're now where the show officially is beginning because this
Okay,
is why
probably.
you're here. You're here for this.
Oh yeah, it was very funny. We go to match number 8, and Ric Flair and Harley Race, they actually both do get an entrance. Like
Yes.
you fucking see them. This is like the first time you see them like really walk to the
Ric
fucking
Flair
ring.
got music, the only one to get music, and it makes
Yeah.
it look
But
so much more like a big
he
deal.
didn't get music the whole way. He cut it off like halfway. And then he had to
Well,
like
they
walk.
play the music and then he walks out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um
But he looked. I like the robe. It was a nice robe.
yeah, yeah. The referee is they've been basically it's in a cage match, and Gene Kaninsky, he is the referee, and
Famous old school
fucking wish
wrestler. Yeah.
I wish they had not. I wish they had just used a regular referee
Oh, he
because
constantly gets in the middle.
he
So,
constantly gets in the fucking way of this match.
mhm.
He ruins like key moments where things are building up because he's like, right when like Ric Flair's like building back up his heat, like he's like, hey, that's a close fist. It's like, yo, Jesus Christ, bro. You can see Harley Race getting fucking annoyed at this old man every once in a while. Once again, dude, there's a ref bump again in this fucking match. There's blood again in this match, and the finish comes when Ric Flair hits a really shitty looking crossbody. He hits a crossbody. He misses. He almost misses fucking Harley Race. He hits him with his legs, and he covers him, and that's the win. Good guys come out. Angelo Moscow returns.
The
All
wife he
guys
cheated
in the
on
ring.
constantly comes into the ring.
Yeah, his wife comes into the ring and kisses a bloody Ric Flair, and stuff like that. Um, what did you think of this match?
Okay, because I got a lot of thoughts about this. So this is
Okay.
going to be an interesting trip for us because we are going to see a lot of Ric Flair matches,
Mm-hmm.
and I have been saying for the last few weeks that I think Ric Flair is overrated. And the reason why I think Ric Flair is overrated is because literally from the moment I didn't know who Ric Flair was until June of '89 when I bought that Pro Wrestling Illustrated. And the first thing they tell you, because they had like 15 wrestlers who defined the last 15 years, right? And the first thing I'm reading, 8 years old, is Ric Flair is the best wrestler in the world. He is the greatest. He is the best. And whenever a company decided, whenever WCW or NWA was like, all right, for this time period, you're not going to be the best. We're going to focus on some other people, whether it's Sting or whether it's Vader. He would have a fucking fit and he would cry and moan and be like, whoa, you're not supposed to treat me like this. I'm the greatest. Da, da, da. All this bullshit about fuck. So you either have to say Ric Flair's the best or you're a fucking piece of shit in wrestling. And I'm sick of that. I'm sick of that because this guy is a fucking scumbag. And did you see, like, I shared this on Facebook? Ric Flair was stolen as a baby. Um,
Yes, black market
and
baby, as I say.
part of like this scheme that these hospitals are doing. And
So that's a big theory because that
no, he
either
confirmed it.
means that means that
Mhm.
so his dad is Ric Flair's adopted father is a doctor. They
Yes.
paid money,
They just adopted the baby. They didn't know the baby was stolen from the parents. They found that out later. They thought the mother had given up the baby.
or so they say.
So they say. I mean,
So they say. That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
That's because I'm saying that it means one of two things. It either means the parents adopted the baby not knowing it was stolen, or they knew the baby was stolen and they paid for it anyway.
Exactly. They're claiming that they didn't know.
Possible. Yeah,
But
that is
this was a
possible.
whole bit. This was a scandal though that broke. But his long lost brother finally found him, and Ric Flair doesn't want to meet him. And he said this on the documentary, and I think, he just wants my money. It's like, dude, go fuck yourself.
But
Like,
he doesn't have any money.
what?
Ric Flair
Yeah,
doesn't have any money.
who's the fuck is calling me? I can't take it. Just go fucking meet your fucking brother, you bag of shit. Like, you only have like, how many years do you have left? How many years does your brother have left? You get my point? Like, just go fucking meet this guy. Like, that's your fucking family, you fucking loser. This guy's such a fucking loser. He's such a fucking mark for himself. Like you can't, and every all these fans are marks for him. You can never just say Ric Flair's okay. You can never say that. That's seen as like basically taking a shit on a fucking Jesus or something. Fuck him. The guy has said the N word to his coworkers not in private like a gentleman like the Hollywood Hulk Hogan. He's fucking he's fucking assaulted women. He's exposed himself to women. He's like a fucking Harvey Weinstein. But we have to ignore that. We have to just pretend the fucking Conrad conned everyone. Had this fucking last match with this idiot, and he still wants to have another last match. I'm fucking sick of seeing how great this guy is, and this is going to be the test. Me and you are going to watch a lot of his big matches. We're going to have Ric Flair up our ass for weeks on end. All right. So this is gonna, are you really the best? And I'll say this match fucking wasn't that good. It was okay. Ricky Steamboat, better. Roddy Piper, better. Fuck you. Wasn't that good? It was okay. It was boring. It was boring.
A couple of things. Part of the reason why this match wasn't so good, this match wasn't that good, but part of the reason I was saying it wasn't that good was because of Gene Kaninsky, right? He's constantly fucking in the way, right?
Yeah. He is in the way. He was in the way for the last bump.
Yeah, he was, yeah. I would say this, though. Ric Flair, 100% has never been my favorite wrestler. He's not even in my top 10. But I will say this. Out of this whole show, he sold the best.
He what?
Dude, his selling
he sold the best. Okay. All right, I'll give you that maybe. Yeah.
Dude, when he would get hit, he's just like, oh, God. And I'm just like, dude, I fucking buy that. Like, I think that's why Ric Flair, they say he is the best, because he makes his opponents look good.
It's interesting.
He himself is not actually a great wrestler, you know?
It's interesting because everyone who's a great seller has female fans. And I think the reason Jeff Hardy too is like women love him because they feel sympathy. Because when you sell, it's like I want to take care of you. Ricky Morton got a lot of pussy.
Yes, you're right. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So man, the selling was good.
If you watch he sells the best. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, we're gonna see 30 minutes. I go, this is the test, because this is Ric Flair's heyday. This is when he was supposed to be the man. Apparently, he's on Vince's short list to take the company to the next level. And
by the way, this was not the Ric Flair that everybody's accustomed to seeing now.
This is like the humble,
a docile Ric Flair. Even
this is the family man, humble guy.
Yeah, he's very humble.
But I will say this: Ric Flair is a lot more likable to me than the guy who's like. This was I liked him, and especially in the back. And the build to this match was great, but the match itself was okay. And these two are supposed to be the greatest. These two are supposed to be like the fucking two best. And it was like, all right, this was okay. This was okay. What do you want me to do? And we are going to determine whether or not Ric Flair is the greatest of all time by watching these matches. Next week we have Ric Flair versus Dusty Rhodes, a Starrcade '84, and right now he's 0 for 1. 0 for 1 on me and having a good match.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't like I didn't get the sense if I did not know who Ric Flair was. Let's just say I am an alien. I just came there. They put the show in front of me, and they were like, "What do you?"
Or you're your niece or nephew. Like, put the show in front of me.
Yeah, I would just be like, "Yeah, he's all right. He's all right.
Yeah, he's all right. He's okay.
He's no fucking Rufus R. Jones stinking up the joint, but he's also not."
He's not Ricky Steamboat, and he's
Piper, not. He's not Ricky Steamboat. You know, he's just like whatever. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I will say this: the post-match stuff, all the promos and stuff were fucking, and the champagne, all that stuff was great. And Ricky Steamboat.
Go ahead.
Ricky Steamboat has a great moment. He's saying, "I trained you. I'll do anything for you." And then right after he says all that nice, he goes, "You owe me one," and he walks away. And I thought to myself, 1989, when they go back and forth for the belt. You know what I'm saying? Like right there, Ricky Steamboat means one day I want a title match. And that's how you fucking build up a long-term storyline.
Yeah.
I'm sure they didn't know that's where they were going because they're a bunch of fucking idiots. But just that little seed of you owe me one. And then he walks away.
Yeah. I actually want more pay-per-views to do this too.
Yes, this was a great ending.
Which is like, right now, if you watch pay-per-views nowadays, the ending of the last match is how the show ends. This was not it.
They don't take any time to like soak in the ending.
Yeah. So the match finishes. They celebrate in the ring. They got Ric Flair's wife, and then they go to the back and they're continuing the celebration. Right, there's champagne. Ric Flair is talking about training with Ricky Steamboat and how he can finally have a beer now after months because he's been
Oh, that's
training
bullshit.
and they laugh.
He's probably drinking between takes. That fucking
Yeah, but just the fact that like just keeping it real,
just
like, oh
mentioning
yeah, I
stuff like
think
that
he
really
drink a
adds to
beer.
it. Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he drinks a beer and it's fun. And then you have Dusty Rhodes come out, and you could feel this damper and all the good guys celebration kind of go down. And he's like, "Hey, yeah, you got a championship, but nah, I got my eye on you, champ," and all that shit. And you see it, they already planted a seed for the next one, you know?
Yeah.
And I love that. That was great. I was like, "Oh, this is perfect. This is how most pay-per-views, not every single one, some should end with just like the finish the last match. But if you have like, let's say like a Braun Breaker match, let's say NXT. Braun Breaker, if he's gonna fight like a Dolph Ziggler, the last match after he pins him, if you just do a little bit more storyline, like I don't know, like they're backstage celebrating, I don't know, fucking Amadeus Choi comes out and it's like, I don't know, whatever. Do something, right? Like
Yeah.
they need to. That would be making
Amadeus
more.
Choi, the guy from
I
Marvel.
couldn't think of anybody. I was trying to think of Apollo Crews, and I just thought,
Amadeus Choi. Does he come out as the fucking Hulk?
oh yeah, but yeah, I like the way they did this. I wish some more pay per views, especially like lower ones like NXT. If they did this every once in a while, it would actually be cooler. You know?
I liked it. The only thing I would say is that it didn't make Dusty Rhodes come off as a face. The way he kind of
No, was he supposed to be a good guy?
he's supposed to be
No,
a good guy. That's the thing. It's
no, that's what I'm
almost
saying.
like
When he came in, there was like an actual damper in the fucking good guy celebration, and he came off like a fucking douchebag.
so a lot
You
of
know?
'80s fans, including Meltzer, hated Dusty Rhodes. They hated him, and I can kind of see why watching this show because it's kind of like they keep going back to this fat guy, and they keep like being like, "But don't forget, he's really the star." And it's like he's not doing anything. Like, can we just focus on the guy's wrestling? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like, wow, that was, and then like the guy he comes across as a heel, but he's not supposed to be. We're supposed to be like, oh yeah, Dusty Rhodes gonna get a title shot. He just comes across as this fat like jerk off. Um, but Meltzer hated him.
Did he
Like in the
really?
'80s, Meltzer hate. If you read like some old newsletter excerpts from the '80s, he talks about Dusty like he talks about Vince. He hated Dusty. I think he came up. I think he's the one who called it Dusty finish. He hated Dusty. He hated the
Mm.
fucking guy.
Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that about.
Yeah. So that's another thing
Uh,
to keep an eye on. All in all, am I going to rewatch this? No. Am I glad I watched this? Fuck yeah. And I think
mhm.
this was a fun way to start. And I definitely think Vince got a copy of this show, sat down with a pen and paper, and wrote what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, I think he also sat down with another piece of paper and said who to sign, who not to sign. You
Yeah.
know, you
And
know,
but you know
there.
what? You got to give him credit. I mean, this is how it all starts, and it was interesting. But Ric Flair, the judgment's gonna be passed on you, motherfucker. So you better fucking bring it, 1984. Let's see what you
Yeah,
fucking
we'll
got.
see. We got to see. Yeah, but so far, I would say I never need to watch this show ever again.
No, no.
No,
I
no.
would watch the chain match again, especially if I'm watching a Roddy Piper DVD and that's on it. I'll watch that.
At this point, I've seen it twice, and I'm like, I don't need to watch this shit
I
again.
know, but I like sometimes I'll put on an old DVD to fall asleep to, and if this match comes on, I'll fucking if that match comes on, like I'll perk up in bed and rewatch it. I don't want to mind. Next week we have Starrcade '84. I didn't really look at the rest of the card because I want to be surprised, but the main event is Ric Flair versus Dusty Rhodes. The week after that we have WrestleMania 1. The closeout January we're doing the Wrestling Classic, which was a one-time only pay-per-view by WWE. Where the main event is Roddy Piper versus Hulk Hogan. So that's the next 3 weeks in January.
Really, I never even heard of this paper.
Oh yeah, it's on the network. What show are you looking forward to most rewatching of the next 3? What do you think, Andrew Lee, bro?
Um, do they? I don't even know if they have this on the network because I never checked. Do they have the one where Owen Hart passed away?
They do, but it's not complete. I was thinking about skipping that, but dude, that's gonna be years from now, bro. Hopefully we're famous comedians before we get to that. Like
Oh,
fucking,
okay.
if we're both still in this room when we get to over the edge, because like, dude, '96 and '97 are gonna like take 6 months each. So like, it's gonna be like a long time till we get there. But
You know what? I'm actually looking forward to
no, I mean the next
seeing
3 shows. What are you looking forward to?
obviously WrestleMania 1 and actually WrestleMania 3
Okay.
because I want to see them with a non-biased view. And what that means is when I saw
We were
them
kids.
or saw clips of them, I was still in the phase of like I was in awe by the
Mhm.
glamour of WrestleMania. To me now, WrestleMania is just another show. Is basically at the end of the day, it's just another show.
Yeah.
It's not
I
really as it's a great show, but it's right.
I'm interested in watching the Starrcade 84, 85, 86 because I don't think I've seen them. I know I saw a little bit of 86. I've never seen 84, 85. I want to see how these Ric Flair matches evolve. I want to see how the production evolves. I'm curious about that.
Yeah,
WrestleMania
I
one,
want to I want to see if they no longer have mic problems.
I want to see if they bring back if they still have any women. But WrestleMania one I've seen so many times, but I'm interested in watching it now, knowing what we know from the first. Because because now I know like what the Starcades did right and did wrong, and I want to see how Vince's first presentation was. But it should
Hmm.
be this should be an interesting trip because we're really gonna like watch wrestling evolve. So this should be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, if you like this podcast, please subscribe Gootz's Wrestling Pod. Please follow me on TikTok, Ray Gootz Comedy. Follow me on Instagram and shit and Twitter, Ray Gootz. Andrew Lee, where can people find your Andrew Lee-ness? You don't really post
Oh,
anymore.
they could just friend you and then they could find me. I don't really.
Okay, yeah, you don't do anything.
I don't do anything
You don't do anything.
ever.
You just do this
No,
podcast. All
just
right, but
podcasting.
subscribe. Tell your wrestling friends about this. No more Disney. Go fuck yourself, Walt Disney. Now it's all about Jim Crockett, baby. Next
Yep.
week, Starrcade 84. And we'll see you then. Thanks, Andrew Lee, bro.
Bye.
Bye, bro. See you
Bye,
later,
man.
bro.
See ya.
See you. Wait, hold on. Andrew Lee, bro.
What happened?
We will see you guys next time. And I'm proud of you guys. Thank you.